All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. I like that song. That's like a song from like a 60s porn or something. That's what that was.
It sounds like
right?
the Kinks from like 1979.
Yeah, we got to get Evan Stone back in here to see if they ever played that during one of his adult films. Anyway, welcome back to the show. We're talking a little bit about Donald Trump. We got Chris Wynn in studio, of course, with my co-host, Mr. J.D. Sharp, talking about that interview that Donald Trump did before the big game yesterday. Some of the idiotic things he said, for lack of a better term. The number to call if you want to be a part of it is 257-5396. Again, 702-257-5396. We'll take a few more calls on this one, and let's start this segment off with Gary. Gary, thanks for calling in. How are you, Gary? Gary, you going to be nice today?
No, this is deplorable, Gary. I'm not supposed to be nice. It's my job to pick on you.
Okay, Gary, you can pick on me.
Hi, Gary.
What would you like to say to me
doing,
today?
JD?
I'm doing really well.
All I want to say is that when it comes to sports, you guys are pretty good. Actually, you're better than good, but when it comes to sports. Otherwise, when it comes to picking on President Trump, as boring as this Super Bowl was.
Gary, when it comes to phone callers, when you're waiting on hold, you're better than average. You're very good. But when you start talking, you're certainly below average.
Touche. All right. Well, I hope someday some Mexican company buys this station and puts you out of a job. And I don't hate Mexicans. I think they're hardworking people. But I disagree with you.
I would totally support that, Gary. So when you disagree with somebody, you hope they lose their job? Is that your attitude?
It's a little harsh, Gary.
Oh, you're so sensitive.
No, I'm not being sensitive. No, I'm not being sensitive.
Gary, taking away someone's livelihood is a little harsh.
Gary, it's very rare for a Trump supporter to want Mexicans to actually work. So I actually congratulate you for saying that, because most Trump supporters would not want Mexicans to work.
I'm an independent thinker.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. I just lost all my ratings because of that phone call. Thank you, Gary. That was a wonderful call.
Thanks, Gary.
Appreciate it. Yeah, always appreciate it, Gary. Thank you very much. Touche. Who do we got next here? Steven. Steven, thanks for calling in. Go ahead. How are you? Hello. You're on the air. Hello. Okay, I guess we'll go to the next caller. Let's go to TJ. TJ, thanks for calling in. How are you?
How you doing, sir? I called about maybe about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and you didn't answer my questions that I asked you about the wall, and also you hung up on me and you gave me a little bad name when I was just respectful.
Okay, so you know what? Let's try to have
a conversation.
That's what I was just going to say, TJ. When I call somebody a name, there usually is a reason, but let's start from fresh. Let's forget about that phone call.
Not always.
Let's do one question. I'll tell you what, I'll give you two questions, TJ, because I like the way you came at me here. Let's be respectful. I'll give you two questions, but let's do one at a time. Go ahead. I'll answer your question.
Okay, sir. One of the questions I have is, if you... For number one, Donald Trump is the only one out of all these many, many years, is the only one that is doing something about the wall. Republicans, Democrats never did anything.
Okay, what's your question?
Now, my question
That's a statement.
is this.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not a true statement, but hey, it's a statement.
My question to you is this, is if, let's just say Trump opened up the wall tomorrow and allowed everyone to come in, how are we going to support all these people? What are we going to do to house these people? Our hospitals, our welfare.
Okay, can I answer?
It's going to go sky high.
Okay, TJ, you got to give me a chance to answer.
I believe that we need the wall for this reason. I believe that we need the wall because you know what? It's going to stop a lot of the drugs.
I know you believe that, TJ. TJ.
And also, sir.
This is why I hung up on you, because you're not letting me answer the question. You're going on a right-wing filibuster.
You interrupt me and you don't let me finish.
Okay, TJ, this isn't your show. Okay, I'm giving you a chance to ask me a question. I will gladly answer it, and I won't hang up on you. And then you ask another question. I get it. You want the wall. You're a Trump supporter. You're way on the right. I understand that. I'm not. I'm not on the right. I'm not on the left. I will answer your question. First of all, the wall is not going to be open. That's just not going to happen. The majority of illegals that come into this country illegally, or that are in this country are illegal, because of overstayed visas. And you know what? I'm not for it. I'm for every single person that's in this country to be legal. But if you're going to talk about building a wall for $5.7 billion, you have to address the other issues also. The top one on the list are people that overstay their visas. Period. I am for securing the border. I never said I didn't want any type of border security. I want border security, but I also want to address the other issues that come with illegals in this country. That's my answer.
Which is?
Question number two. Question number two. I answered your question. Question number two. I'm not going to answer it the way you like it, TJ.
Question number two is this, is that these people that come in, a lot of them do nothing but commit crime.
Okay, that's a joke. No, you're wrong.
A lot,
TJ,
you're saying the majority?
That's
the
wrong.
majority. That's a false statement. Another
TJ,
false statement.
Here's a stat.
No,
that's
false.
That's
It's
why.
false.
See, that's why I hang up on you,
Yeah.
TJ, because you
Terrible,
give me
terrible statement.
idiotic
TJ,
statements.
I have a question for you. Do you?
No. It's not an idiotic.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
98%.
It's an idiotic statement. It's not true.
TJ, hello. 98% of people that come into this country illegally
Are fine, yes.
not committing any crime
Yes.
whatsoever. Your stat is moronic and idiotic.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm going to call you a moron again, and I'm going to hang up the phone on you. Goodbye.
Come on.
If you would like to call again and be abused, I will welcome that, TJ. But you are an idiot. Period. Okay, that is a stupid comment. 98% of people are not committing crime. You just said the majority of the people that are illegals coming in are committing crime. You're an idiot. There should be an IQ test for people like you. You shouldn't even be allowed to vote in this country, you Nimrod. Anyway, let's go to Ellie. Ellie, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Hello.
Yes, Ellie, you're on the air. How are you?
Hi, this is hilarious. I haven't laughed so much. But the gentleman who was talking about the 25th Amendment, I think it's just about time. It's dangerous to have a president lie the way this man is doing. And these platforms, I don't want the State of Union. I don't want to hear the same foolishness over and over.
Right.
When can we get the 25th Amendment? And if he could get it started, because he had a lot of great points.
Well, I happen to agree with you. I was the one that mentioned that. Look, there has to be. No, I'm telling you how to get it. There has to be a consensus. This can't be just something where Democrats are coming at Washington D.C. and say, "Hey, we need to bounce them out." There has to be.
Republicans.
Oh, I'm trying to tell you what. Yeah, I'm just trying to tell you what it is. What has to happen for the 25th Amendment to be enacted. It has to be a bipartisan situation where both the GOP and Democrats get together and say, "Look, enough is enough." And look, there are a lot of people that agree with you and think that there has been so many things that have been said and done in regards to President Trump where it's something that should have already happened. But we all know the reality of Washington, D.C., so that's why it hasn't happened yet.
But Republicans, I think, are listening. I think it can happen. Guys, thanks. I love this
Thank
show.
you, Ellie. I appreciate it very
Thanks
much.
a lot, Ellie.
The number to call is 257-5396. TJ just tried to call back. TJ, you only get one shot with me. If you're going to say something dumb, then we're going to hang up on you, and clearly you did. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Stephen. Stephen, thank you for calling in. How are you? Stephen, you're on the air.
Oh, hey, what's up, guys?
What's up?
I am a right-wing as it gets kind of guy. Former House of Representatives employee, worked for a very awesome Republican congressman, but I felt dumber listening to my fellow Republicans that just call in. 98%? Okay, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. A majority of these people are good, hardworking people. I will say.
Well, no. I said, hold on. I said 98%. 98% of the people coming into this country are good people that have never been arrested. This idiot that called in said that he thought, Chris, the majority of these illegals coming in are committing crime.
But to Stephen's point is, Stephen, here's the thing I want to ask you. Look, we can't have a fair debate, okay, if both Republicans and Democrats can't come at an issue in a factual and actual way, okay? The problem that we have a lot of times in this country, and it happens a lot, is that and mostly it's a lot of Trump supporters that come at you and they say things that they perceive as being factual when they're not. Okay, and that was a perfect example. That phone call when the guy's calling in and saying most of the people that come over the border that are undocumented immigrants commit crimes. It sounds a lot like President Trump in his initial speech when he's talking about Mexicans being rapists and murderers. Oh, but I assume some of them are good people. President Trump? Some of them are not good people. Most, if not almost all of them are good people. There are very few, okay, only a handful that are not. And so when you come at it from that perspective, that's why a lot of us, I think, get upset because we can't have a logical debate with you.
Let JD respond to this. Go ahead, JD.
Chris, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Are you a troublemaker? Are you committing a crime? Are you not a good person if you decide to overstay your visa where you are given 180 days to renew it?
I would characterize
because when that happens,
I would say
you lose the right to come back into the country for 3 years.
I would say no. I would say not a troublemaker. I would not characterize you in that way. I think we all know what he's talking about.
That's a really big issue.
But
here.
JD, when we all know when President Trump is talking about it, what is he talking about? He's talking about murderers. He's talking about Kate Steinle getting murdered. He's talking about the officer in California getting murdered by undocumented immigrants.
Go ahead, Stephen. Go ahead.
Yeah, Stephen.
He's talking about keeping us safe. I mean, as the president of the United States, that's his job. So, I mean, I see both sides of it. I totally do. But at the same time, we got to do something. There's a huge influx of people coming through our southern border that are just that there are a majority that are great, hardworking people, but there are also people who want to just come in and use our health care and use our benefits that we offer because we are one of the wealthiest nations in the world. So they want to use, they want a shot at American, at the American dream, but don't want to work for it. And that's what I have a problem with.
Fair enough.
The other thing that I wanted to address, this one goes to Shapiro. Those same polls that you read are the same exact polls that said that Hillary Clinton would win the presidency by a landslide. It would be done and over by 9 p.m. And look at it.
I will say this, nothing in those polls that we knew of thought that there would be any type of Russian collusion, so I'm not taking that out of play.
Again with the Russian collusion.
Well, Russia interfered in our election, did they not? Yes or no, Stephen?
Through the Democrats.
No. I'm asking you a very basic question. Did Russia interfere in our elections? It's a very simple question. Yes, okay, thank you.
But not the way.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
No, if you're saying through the Democrats, then why didn't Hillary Clinton win?
Yeah.
If it was for the benefit of the Democrats, Stephen, why didn't Hillary Clinton win the presidency? Exactly.
Stephen, we got to get some other calls, Stephen. We appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stephen.
And Stephen, and Stephen's point also, in regards to the polls, let's all be intellectually honest here, okay? Most people in America thought Hillary Clinton was going to win that election.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Even, by the way, the guy who's in the White House right now, Donald Trump. If he was intellectually honest with America, and you asked him, before election night, who was probably going to win, a lot of people thought it was going to be Hillary Clinton. So let's not get this twisted and say, it's just Democrats who were just wrong. So
everybody
should understand.
For the most 99% of us anyway. We have one phone line open at 257-5396. Again, 257-5396 if you'd like to join the show. Let's go to Brad. Brad, thanks for calling in. How are you, Brad?
Oh, thanks. Thanks for taking my call. Love your show.
Thank you.
I think I called you last week. I really enjoy your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I have just two quick points.
Sure.
And then obviously I'll listen to your comments. The first is, the way the major states are set up, California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, it's very difficult for a Republican to win. So the whole republic is kind of hanging in the balance on the immigration issue because
I agree.
Once Texas and Florida go,
right,
you're not going to have any more Republicans.
And Brad, I'm sure you would agree. This wall issue is a huge issue for Donald Trump's reelection in a couple of years. At least that's what I think.
Right, but my point is that the people that are supporting the wall and the people that are trying to minimize immigration think that as more immigrants come in, 80% vote Democrat. Whether or not you believe that or not, that's what the perception is.
Right.
And as California has gone, and as other states have gone, and then when Texas and Florida go, then there's really no debate about who's going to be president. It's just which Democrat is going to win. So the other side, the Republican side, are thinking this is it. This is our last stand, and either we hold on here or we lose.
And Brad, you had one other point. Go ahead.
That's where the desperation is coming from the wall.
I hear you. What was your other point, Brad? Go ahead.
Well, the other point was just basically about populism, and I mean, I hear a lot of your points. They're good points, but I just wonder what would be the right balance for you, because I think what a lot of people believe is that fighting for the people in your own country and supporting and protecting the people in your own country, as far as GM sending jobs overseas, et cetera, is okay.
I hear what you're saying. Let me be very clear as I can, and I mean this. First of all, Brad, you've been listening to the show. Everything I say, I believe in. I don't say things, unless I'm making a joke about Donald Trump's children as Uday and Kusei. Clearly, I don't think they're terrorists.
That was a good save.
But with that being said, Brad, I want jobs to stay in this country, and in a perfect world, I want people to be in this country legally. But the point I try to make is for the people that are coming in illegally, the vast majority of them are good people, and these are people that mow your lawns, that will clean your dishes. These are people working for extremely low, unlivable wages. Now, with that being said, I don't want an illegal to be on welfare. I don't want an illegal to get free health care. I don't want an illegal to cost a taxpayer money. So we have to figure out some sort of middle ground, some sort of pathway to citizenship for people that have never committed a crime before. I hope that makes sense, Brad. That's as honest as I can be about this issue.
You brought up an interesting point, Brad. when you say that it's the Republicans' last stand, it really is. And it's not just the fact that the other states are going to go whatever direction they're going to go, but right now Republican birth rates are much, much lower than Democratic birth rates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right.
And just the numbers themselves will go in the other direction. And when that happens, you're right, the Republicans are in serious, serious trouble.
As far as the elections go, let's just start right here. I don't want any other country to interfere in our elections. That should be number one. And then let's see if Donald Trump wins. The number to call, 257-5396. Again, that number to call, 702-257-5396. Now, I usually do not let somebody call in twice into the show, especially if they say something idiotic. That's why the other guy tried calling in again. But you know what? JD was very nice and very pleasant. He's been very pleasant lately. Maybe that's because he agrees with me lately. I don't know. Something tells me he doesn't agree with me now, but I'm going to give JD another opportunity because he's been waiting patiently on hold. JD, go ahead.
Thank you for the exception. The first call was basically about the Super Bowl.
I understand.
It's been a while, JD.
Hey, first of all, I'd like to address my comments to Chris, and I hope he lets me finish before he interrupts me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, you get it.
He was referring to me. I usually interrupt, Chris. That's okay. Go ahead.
Second, in regard to what you just said, Brian, you don't want welfare, you don't want this. The fact of the matter is they are getting it, and we don't seem to want to or know how to stop
I do.
Them from getting it.
I do.
Now, I'm going to go back to all of these good people, and they are a lot. I lived in Acapulco for a year and a half. I know these hardworking Catholic Mexican people. I had a nanny who was a Mexican, legal, and a great gal. I had a gardener that was a Mexican, illegal.
Wait, are you Donald Trump? You're not the president, are you? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now, the fact of the matter, and I've said this to you, Brian, on a couple of occasions, and you said you were going to check. Number one, in Clark County, Chris, this is what I want you to respond to, please.
Okay.
In Clark County in 2017, the sheriff told me there were 88,000 felonies. I asked him a direct question. How many of those felonies were committed by illegals? He estimated between 30 and 35%, which equates out to about 25,000 for that year. The state of Texas has, in a 10-year period, over 800,000 felonies committed by illegals. Now, we just had 4 senior citizens in the Reno Carson City 2 weeks ago murdered by a 19-year-old illegal from El Salvador. The point of the matter is, when the Democrats say if it only helps, if this program, health care, whatever, only saves one life, only helps one person, the point is there are too many felony murders, rapes, and crimes committed by whatever percentage they are.
I have 2 guys in the studio that want to respond, JD. We got to give them a chance to respond because we got some time constraints.
Yeah, you're using.
Okay. I'm practically done.
Okay, what's up, JD?
2% or 5%, whatever. We have to stop the felony crimes committed by illegals.
Okay, JD, let's let these 2 respond. I appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much. Okay, let's start with who wants to start?
JD, you want to go first?
Based on those numbers, what percentage of illegal immigrants do you think are actually committing crimes and felonies, including overstaying their visa?
Yeah, well, again, that's the question, but I can only go by the stats.
I'm asking him.
Oh, JD's off the line, but I can only go by the stats. The stats say that 98% of people that are illegal that cross the border are not committing crime. That is according to the statistics.
I can address this very clearly and concisely, JD, and point this out. You pointed out you had 2 very, anecdotal experiences there and mentions. You talked about, obviously, Clark County, okay, and the percentages from one individual, by the way, which is not gold. We don't know that this is 100% true, all right? And then you pointed out Texas as well, too. There are lawmakers out there that are reasonable and that are accountable and that address this and that are experts when it comes to the numbers in regards to undocumented immigrants and crime, okay? And it's overwhelming. The evidence is overwhelming, okay, that it is a small minority of individuals. Now, you want to bring up Kay Steinle, and this is what Trump supporters do, and a lot of people on the right do. They bring up anecdotal evidence, and they're horrific crimes. I make no mistake about it. I'm not trying to limit this at all. There are horrific things that happen, but they are anecdotal. They pick and choose things that happen that are horrible tragedies and try to make a case that in general in America, there is this major issue that we need to address, and that is not being addressed. And they try to make it sound like there are people that are Democrats on the left or even people that are never Trumpers, right, who are Republicans who have left the party. and say, oh, they don't care about border security.
Yeah.
And this is just, it's a false narrative.
I agree.
It's not true.
I do agree.
Reasonable and rational Americans all want border security out there, okay? They all want that.
Let's take a few more calls on this.
It just gets me upset.
It gets me upset too. I don't like anybody using a murder as a political ploy.
Yes.
Let's go to Craig. Craig, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. By the way, the number to call 257-5396. Let's go to Craig. Craig, thank you for calling in. Craig, you're on with the Vegas Take. You're on with the Baldy Shapiro. What's going on? Thank you, Craig. That was the best call we've had all day. JD's trying to call back. We can't take the same guy calling in 3 times. I apologize, but we do have some time constraints on this show. We can't take calls from the same person. There's not one radio show across the country that would do that. I'm sorry, we just can't do it. You got to make your point. Gave you enough time to do it. Then we got to get to some other calls. That's just the way it works. Go ahead, Chris. You were trying to finish your point.
Well, yeah, no, and I wanted to address JD what he brought up in regards to the money, right? So JD, you talked about it's a drop in the bucket, and without question, when you talk about our entire national economy, the issue regarding the wall, whether it's 5 million, whether it's 8 million, whether it's 10 million, yes, it is a drop in the bucket. But that's not really the rationale that the Trump administration is using, right? When it comes to why they want to build the wall, it's not necessarily all about the money. It's just it's about what their perception is of the crisis at the border, and they perceive it as we need to get this done no matter what because of it's a matter of national security, and we have these quote unquote caravans getting ready to storm the border.
JD, go ahead, respond. Your response?
My response.
Yes. If you don't have one,
in regards
to
the money, because look, you're it's a drop in the bucket. That's my whole feel as far as the Trump industry. I don't think they're looking at this like it's a drop. The country spends so much money everywhere else. Why what's $5-10 billion more dollars? In the scheme of things.
I agree that the money is. I mean, it really is a drop in the bucket in comparison. But he definitely wants to appease his fan base. He wants.
That's exactly what it is.
And he definitely wants to make good on his word.
Look, he said,
but at the same time.
And quickly, Brian and JD.
I definitely want to know who's in the country. I'd like to know who they are and what they're doing.
We're going to build a wall,
I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
Isn't that your word?
And that's JD. We talked about this last week when you and Brian got into a little bit about his word. And a lot of Trump supporters out there, they all believe that. They say, hey, he made this promise back in 2015, right? In the campaign, we're going to build this wall. And it's one of his staples on his campaign. Let me tell you something, all right? It's not the same promise.
No,
I'm going to tell you why. Why? Because the financing's not coming from Mexico, all right? The country's not paying for it. And don't give me this, because he's changed NAFTA and we switched to the Mexico-Canada trade deal, that's going to pay for the wall. Because let me tell you something, all right? That's private money going to private corporations in America and Mexico and Canada. That's privately, that money's going to individuals, their own. That's going in the pockets of Americans and Mexicans and Canadians.
Chris,
and by the way, it's not going to the U.S. Treasury, okay? So I don't want to hear this, Donald Trump was nuanced back in 2015. He was saying to himself, I'm telling these people that Mexico's going to pay for it, but what I'm really thinking about is that I'm going to change NAFTA, and that that's how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of crap. Okay,
I agree, and you know what? We are going to continue this conversation tomorrow because Ron Futrell is on the right. He works for Channel 8. We always get into it, so that'll be interesting. So it'll be 2 against 1. So 2 against 1 against JD today. It's going to be 2 against 1 against me tomorrow. That's the way it works. I'll tell you what we're going to do tomorrow. Or I should say tomorrow, next segment, we're going to be speaking with Mark Anderson from the Review-Journal. He actually spoke with Francois last night and asked her the question, will there be a coaching change at the UNLV position because they've lost 3 games in a row and they've gotten blown out? We will give you Francois' answer because Mark Anderson will be joining us next. We're going to be talking a little UNLV basketball. You're listening to the Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.